Thelman.
Hello everybody, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. My name is Staff Sergeant Tony Barczyk, and I'll be giving you a speech today on a license renewal policy I would like to have instilled in the near future. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them until the end of the presentation. I'll be happy to answer them. Slide. What I'm going to be talking about today is the policy I'd like to have instilled, statistics supporting my decision, as well as reasons why everybody should be a safe driver and not just yourself. Everybody in here drives. Everybody commutes to work one way or the other, and it's imperative that everybody knows and obeys the laws and rules of the road. Slide. All right, I'm going to be talking about why this is important. Once you understand the mandatory requirements for renewing your license, you may not feel so safe when you get behind the wheel. And this is talking about Louisiana in particular. Statistically, elderly drivers are not the most dangerous. Drivers 16 to 24 are, and that actually covers a lot of the individuals in this room. Slide. So I'm going to be talking about the level of requirements for not only renewing your driver's license, but when you get your driver's license, I'm going to talk about what's required of you in the state of Louisiana. Every state's different, so you may disagree with some of the things up here, but this is just strictly for Louisiana. It begins with the level of requirements for obtaining or renewing your driver's license. You need current stats in all your vehicle accidents, proposed idea to increase driver safety, and why increasing driver safety is important. That's what I'm going to be talking about right here. Slide. So to begin with, all applicants for a Louisiana license must pass a knowledge-based and skills-based driving examination. An eye examination is also given for 20/40 visual acuity is required. This is basically just with every state that's standard. You're just going to go out, take a driver's test. You're going to fill out some paperwork. You're going to take a written test as well as a visual test to make sure that you are prepared and have the ability to drive safely and efficiently. The knowledge portion of the examination includes testing a person's understanding of Louisiana motor vehicle laws, highway signs, railroad and highway crossing safety, and knowledge of the classification of a motor vehicle the applicant will be driving. So you're basically going to take this test in high school. Everybody does it. You pass it, you go through your driver's ed course, and eventually you're going to make your way, after you have driver's time, you're going to go to the actual DMV to do your driver's test and take their test if they have you take one. Slide. The skills test will include an on-the-road driving test and possibly a simulated skills-based driving test. The knowledge and skills test will be administered by the department or by a third party approved by the department. A lot of the times, the DMV has a registered professional at the school go ahead and do that for you. For me, it was my math teacher when I was going, and he was also a math teacher, a student ed driver. He was the go-to guy. Slide. So we're still talking about the license renewal process. For getting it, your photo is required. You have to, there's a fee breakdown when you go there. There's going to be a list of fees. There may be paperwork on what you have to pay for and the methods of payment. And you're going to have to read one line of letters to verify 20/20 vision. And like I said before, this is all you have to do to renew your license. There is no physical driving test. There is no written or oral test. All you have to do is go, put your face inside of the scope and read one line, kind of like you do at a medical visit. It's all you have to do to renew your license, and then you're good to go, regardless of how the laws have changed down the road or the rules of the road have changed in your local area. Slide. The overview of what I just talked about is there's no test or verification knowing or understanding the rules of the roads. The state is more concerned about the financial process of obtaining and renewing your license than the skill and safety of the driver they are issuing it to. And the site test is the only visual test administered. When I was doing my research, I found more about the method of payments and the billing site, and just basically how you make your payments to renew your license, as opposed to anything else regarding what's required of you to renew your license. So that was something that stood out to me. Slide. And I'm going to go over some statistics here about some common stats over drivers 16 to 24, because that is the target age group that you guys are in right now. Some of them begin with, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the percentage of drivers who are using a cell phone has increased 0.9% in 2010, which doesn't seem like a lot, but given how many drivers are on the road, this is nationally, it's quite a significant increase. The percentage of drivers using a cell phone while holding it to their ears is 35% of all drivers on the road in 2010. So that's a pretty significant statistic there, considering that driver safety is out the window when you're not aware of your surroundings. Over 1/3 of all drivers, or 37%, have sent or received text messages while driving, and 18% said they do it regularly. And once again, this was all taken over polls of, I think, 10,000 people, and this is the results that came out of the fruits of the labor. Slide. Talking on a cell phone causes nearly 25% of all car accidents. 18% of teen motor vehicle crash fatalities that took place in 2009 involved distracted driving. In 2009, 2,336 young drivers were killed and 196,000 more were injured. Slide. 61% of teens admit to risky driving habits. For example, teens are more likely to speed and allow shorter distances between cars than any other age group. So a lot of people like to think that elderly drivers, like I said before, are the most chaotic and unsafe drivers on the road, when in fact it is 16 to 24. Fact is that elderly drivers are not as distracted, and that is due to they don't use electronic devices while they drive nearly as much as younger generations do. In 2009, the South had the highest percentage of cell phone use while driving at 6%. The Northeast came in 4%. And it's not even just the Northeast, it's the North altogether came in at 4%. And approximately 86% of drivers said they ate or drank while driving at some point. And 57% said they do it sometimes or often. And these are all taken on long survey polls that the DMV administers, as well as the Department of Transportation. Slide. All right, an overview of what I just talked about is distracted drivers are everywhere, and what better way to reinstill while maintaining focus while driving is important. Drivers forget the rules of the road, and at times go by, or they don't obey the laws, and as time goes by, they obey the rules less and less. Instilling a test to retain your driver's license could help keep those drivers who disobey the laws and the rules of the road off of it. Slide. So what could we do? We could install a mandatory 4-year license renewal program. The program would have a required driver's test performed by each individual trying to renew his or her license. The test would be scheduled through your local DMV. Slide. The cost would be small processing fee, and the individuals would be notified by email, personal, cell phone, or a letter sent to their house, and that the letter will be sent according to the address that was on their license, or whatever address they submitted to the DMV at the time, their last known submission. Upon a failure of the driver's test, the individual would immediately be rescheduled to retest through their instructor or the DMV. And upon a second failure, the individual will be required to not only submit to a driver's test, but a written test as well. Slide. Would this help? Installing this mandatory renewal process would not eliminate all of the incompetence in drivers today, but it would be the start to driving safely. Holding the drivers personally responsible for maintaining the rules and laws of the road are beneficial not only to the driver, but all of the other drivers as well. There will still be drivers on the road who misuse electronic devices while driving, but the numbers of drivers who do this should significantly go down. Everyone drives, but not everybody drives safely, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. Although those in this room may not use cell phones or electronic devices while they drive and be a distracted driver, it's safe to say that a lot of people do, and everybody here does know somebody that does do it. With this proposal, I'm attempting to keep the streets a little more clean, very responsible driving, and it won't solve all the problems, but it will hold the communities around the state to a much higher standard that place personal responsibility upon each driver to know and understand the rules. Slide. All right, in summary, I've told you about the current standards of both applying for driver's license and the process required for renewing your driver's license. Safety is everybody's right and responsibility. With my proposal, the next time you'll take your child to school or be expecting a family member to come back from a long trip, you might be just a little bit more at ease knowing that this rule has been applied in your nation. Once again, my name is Staff Sergeant Tony Grabarczyk. Thank you for taking the time on your busy day to listen to my speech. If you have any questions or comments, now is the time. You may turn off the video camera.